pull the kitty out.
Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's BICP Talks with Travis. We are privileged to be joined by Cindy Abbott, who's at the top of my screen. I'm not sure where she's on yours. But Cindy is someone that I've heard about for a bunch of years through like working at REI. Like I used to work there. Cindy worked there on the other side of the country, but I still heard about the impact that she was having down in Austin. And she joined the BICP Instructor Trainer team, which brought our connection a little bit closer together. And we've had a few awesome opportunities to talk about coaching as well as the work that she's doing. And so that's why I wanted to have her on tonight and to share her story about riding as well as the impactful work that she's doing down in Santa Fe now. But Cindy, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry if the internet's a little lacking, guys. I'm kind of bumming off my neighbors right now because I'm moving next week. So there's that. But I'm gonna try to get it all out there. Um, yeah, I started racing mountain bikes like in 2006 after quitting college soccer. Needed another competitive outlet. Started with Xterra off-road triathlons and then went big, like went straight to my first XC race in Vail at the Teva Mountain Games in like 2006 and started with XC racing, like kind of had to. It was either that or like downhill, like crazy Shams Mark would do. But like I definitely was a masochist for pain. Did that until 2014 after I won a national championship, USA cycling national title. I was like, I'm done with cross country racing. I want to race enduro. And then that started coming to America. Got into enduro racing, raced World Series, Enduro World Series all over the world, and was really hyper focused on that until like the end of last year when I realized, all right, this is not my passion anymore. I got tired of getting beat by 14-year-olds. The risk to reward wasn't quite where I wanted it, and with a career in firefighting, you can't be injured. And I have had some really serious injuries and have almost been paralyzed, broken all my ribs and broken my spine. And you just realize like what's important. And I want to still yeah, I wanted to be able to stay riding. I got into Bicycle Instructor Certification Program back when it was ICP. Even before it was bought out by IMBA, and a part of REI's curriculum too. But back in like, yeah, 2000, gosh, I think it was 2014 when I started, when I got my level 1 and level 2 in the same weekend. And then Jake Karsten, who was one of my mountain bike mentors, he was the running the show for Austin and Texas, and he kind of resigned, and then I stepped in, became an instructor trainer for BICP around, I don't know, I feel like 2016, 2015, and have just been kind of sitting with it for, they've been so amazing with me and patient with all my career changes. I've gone from, being an arborist for the city of Austin to firefighting, and now back to arboriculture to move to New Mexico, back to firefighting now with City of Santa Fe. So I'm finally gonna have time this summer to dive in and really commit to mountain bike instruction and getting a variety of people on bikes, and then coaching and teaching more instructional certification program cert courses. So really psyched about what's coming up. So I'm kind of just psyched overall to be changing gears and moving away from racing, which we'll talk about as, yeah, it's a big deal.
You
So
know, Cindy,
yeah.
every time we've talked, the one thing that I have taken away is that you are psyched most of the time, which is awesome. Um, so how tonight's gonna kind of flow, we'll talk a little bit more about Cindy's history of cycling, source of inspiration before coaching was like the primary motivation, some feelings that come along with the changes of like when the source of our inspiration for a particular activity changes, it impacts how we interact with that activity. And so I'm excited to hear a little bit about that. And we'll talk about how the shift that Cindy made from, professional racing has allowed her to give back to the community a little bit more. And we're definitely going to highlight the organization that she's working with right now, Girls on Bikes in Santa Fe, which is doing awesome work. Cindy told me a whole bunch about it, and I'm excited to learn even more about it today. So, Cindy, to get things going, first time on a mountain bike, how did you know that mountain biking was for you?
So my dad actually, so he was in the Secret Service. I was born in DC and we moved to Austin when I was like really young, like third grade. And my dad was a Secret Service agent. And what moved us to Austin was him working private security for Michael Dell and like Dell Computers. So Michael Dell and Susan Dell were really big cyclists living in Austin, and Susan Dell did a lot of Ironman triathlons. My dad started riding mountain bikes to like as like private duty or whatever protective duty for Michael Dell, and so then he had this crappy mongoose. I think I was in eighth grade, and I hopped on it in our trails in like we lived on like a big ranch, and so I rode it on deer trails, and it was just really fun and freeing and it was cool. Yeah, eighth grade. And then my brother in high school got a Gary Fisher Wahoo back when Gary Fisher was still its own brand and not owned by Trek. And I was like, you guys spent $350 on a bike for him? Like, what the hell? Thinking it was so much money. And then I started riding his hardtail like when I was transitioning from college soccer and needed another outlet for competition and rode his Gary Fisher and stole it from him. And so that bike is like kind of what really got me moving into it, which is so ironic that now like the bike I have is like well over $12,000 and it's like whatever. So
But
yeah,
what I
so it
love
was
about
great. It was
that,
freeing. I was outside. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, what I love about that is like, I would be surprised if any of us started on the, like, if we started on the bike that we're on now, would we feel the same about riding? I
Mhm.
think there's so much value in, like, first bike that I got into was like, it was in 2007 when I really started mountain biking, and it was on a Walmart bike that was from the 90s, and I loved it. There's like so much good stuff about riding a bike that's not the best. Sorry, continue.
Totally. Yeah, Mongoose. He got it from Walmart, I'm pretty sure. Or like some other bike shop that sold Mongoose before it was in Walmart. I mean, this is like 1990, like or like 2000. It's like 2000. So yeah. But anyway, that's kind of that. It's been a journey.
And
But I will say, like one of my favorite memories, my first race was an Xterra triathlon at this camp that I worked at back when I was involved in like outdoor education camps. And I remember my dad, because I rode motorcycles, like dirt bikes and stuff, when I was really young too. And I remember my dad coaching me going down this like really steep, rocky section, and it was super muddy. And he was like, "Just get your weight back like you do on a motorcycle." And yeah, that just like really stuck with me. And my dad definitely was like a big part of that journey too. So yeah,
that's awesome. And
yeah.
and so it sounded like you got into racing because you have a competitive nature, or was there something else that drew you to racing, like the community? What are your thoughts?
Just get back. Somebody that's Joanna. Nice. Yeah, I think it was like just inherently having this competitive spirit. I've always been a really competitive person and losing college soccer, which was like my life for from like age 3 to 20 years old and then quitting that after achieving those goals. I needed something else and I started doing like long distance off-road like running races trail races and was like, I hate running. This is shitty. And so I wanted to go, mountain biking was that sport of the triathlon that I loved and actually was really good at naturally. And so it just kind of, yeah, that kind of took the place. It filled that competitive spirit. And I feel like I've been doing it for so long, like racing bikes for so many years. And yeah, it's been a journey for sure.
So now that you're shifting away from away from racing and focusing more on your recreational education work, what does outdoor education give you that like your like the personal competition of racing doesn't? Or like what does that do for you that racing didn't?
Well, I started out, going to Christian summer camp and all those camps had a component of outdoor education to them, whether it was like challenge course facilitation. I actually ended up running challenge courses, and I'd always knew that I wanted to be an outdoor educator from a young age. And I didn't really know that I wanted to be a firefighter until I was like 20 years old. But when I was like little, and then also like up through college, I was like, I want to be an outdoor educator. That was a goal that I wanted to achieve. And I think it's because, racing and then education and being an instructor, like you can be an incredible athlete, but a terrible instructor. And I've seen it multiple times. And you can be an incredible instructor and like do racing, which is totally cool. Like that's awesome. But I think with racing, yeah, for sure. And I think with racing, there is this pressure, there's this like it's either there's like a discomfort, but with instruction, there's discomfort, but there's also like immense growth that can come from that discomfort. And so, yeah, I chose to study outdoor education in college at Texas A&M, and I have a degree in recreation, park, and tourism sciences and where it really kind of clicked for me. I started getting a lot of certifications, Leave No Trace, Professional Climbing Instructor Association. Yeah, I wasn't really exposed to the ICP stuff until like 2014, but yeah, early 2006, 2007, I was American Mountain Guide Association single pitch instructor. Like I had, wilderness first responder, like all these, I was exposed to a lot of methodologies and teaching and realized, wow, like I may not be the expert in the field yet, but really sharing the passion of the outdoors with people and what the outdoors, the challenges that it brings and the growth and seeing people shine through their fear. And that has been huge. And that's a really big part of why like I am really only instructor training for BICP. Like I was doing it for Professional Climbing Instructor Association for a long time and just kind of let that stuff go because I really wanted to focus my attention on the mountain bike side. So does that
And
answer the question effectively?
absolutely. And kind of another question on the last thing you said. What
Cool.
made you choose mountain biking, like training mountain bike instructors over training climbing instructors?
Man, I don't know. I feel like mountain biking was more accessible because I could just take my bike and go. Whereas with climbing, I was a sport or am a sport climber and I needed a climbing partner. And so if I didn't have a climbing partner, then well, I'm not going climbing today. And you have to like stay on top of those skills to be at that high level of instruction and guiding. Yeah, and to be an instructor trainer and a provider, I call it course providers in that world. And I just, yeah, it was just more accessible. I was racing in that, that I did like one rock climbing competition and I hated it and it made me not want to climb again for a year. This was like 2007. It was awful. And so I realized, okay, I'm going to stick to climbing for fun, but racing, mountain bike racing for some reason, I just really took to it. And yeah, I think the accessibility of it is really kind of the biggest answer. But and it was the thing that, yeah, I just became like kind of a local legend at and like really proficient in, and it was cool. So I'm grateful for that, for both experiences.
For sure. For sure. And I think, what's more accessible for us as we're recreating, that it's the same difference for people that were getting into the activity, like cycling. I
Mhm.
mean, there's definitely boundaries and things that prevent people from getting in, and there's a degree of inaccessibility, but like compared to climbing, I used to teach climbing as well, but like compared to climbing, it's a way lower bar of entry. And I love that that's part of the reason why you chose to stick with mountain biking, besides the fact that you're a great mountain biker. We wouldn't want to lose you and a great coach.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet.
So now that you're not like training for race season or anything like that, what gets you out riding most days? Or, when you can ride?
Well, I think a lot of my time like this past year has honestly been spent um training, like strength training. So it's hard. Like I haven't really been on my bike as much as I would have liked. This is actually the first time in my what like 20 plus years of riding bikes that I haven't been on my bike in like 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, which is a long time. But I'm fo very focused. Like I'm currently in the fire academy for Santa Fe Fire, and that is incredibly rigorous and it's exhausting and I can't get there if I could lose my job. So for this next year, I kind of have to lock it up. And so I have to kind of chill. And that is going to allow me the opportunity to work on more of these passion projects with teaching and slowing down my mountain biking and not going like, crazy full bore um, enduro racing, downhill, whatever, and just dial it back and focus on instruction and coaching and working with these wonderful organizations like Girls on Bikes, which we'll talk about, and fighting with friends that may not be, at that same level as me, but I still, it doesn't matter. Like I just want to get out and just enjoy being outside on my bike with people that I really care about. And so that, whereas for me racing, it was always training alone and I'm tired of riding alone. So I think for me, what's going to get me out is just the joy of being on a bike, moving more at a slower pace, focusing on not getting injured and just chilling, and here in Santa Fe, so the trails are pretty clear, and I really want to get on my bike soon. I just have a few more weeks of this academy, and then I'll be able to focus on that. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, all I want to do, Travis, is really just sit in a hot tub at my partner's house and sit in a salt bath and go to hot springs. Like, riding is kind of the last on my mind. Like, riding, but coaching and instruction is still very much in the forefront. And I actually just texted Nicole today. I was so excited I found out shift. So we find out your shift in firefighting, you know your schedule until you die. So it's just because it rotates. So now I know the days I can coach and I can do BICP courses, and that was really exciting for me. So excited to switch gears and get outside and chill. So
For sure.
yeah.
And as your so motivations for riding are changing, right? Competition stuff to enjoying time with friends, community, all that sort of stuff. Like, what feelings are coming up now that your motivation has changed? Like, is there anything like, I'm trying to find the right words, but like, is there anything that's like you feel like you're holding back, like anything that's like holding you back from going and riding outside of like firefighter stuff? I mean, because I'm thinking like if I go from competing at a high level, which you did for sure, to then not competing, that might mess with me a little bit. So I'm curious what you're like, how can people manage that?
I think there's honestly a little burnout involved. I mean, if I'm being honest, like I think it's a really a kind of a career priority shift, but there is probably a bit of burnout where I'm not dying to get on my bike because I've done it at such a high level for so long. I mean, 25 plus years, like man, that's a long time. And I think to overcome that, it's really kind of finding maybe new ways to enjoy the trails. So like in Austin, when I was training, I was just get so bored of riding these tunnels and really technical trails that were, excuse me, very interesting, but I would go and ride at night. And so that's actually really cool because the first time that I had gotten back on my bike here in Santa Fe in like a couple months was with my girlfriend, and I suggested a night ride because I wanted to change it up. I wanted to be enticed by something different than the norm to go, yeah, just to see trails in a different way. And I had never even been to this trail system that she had suggested we ride at night. And so it was so fun. It was beautiful and seeing the stars, and it's gorgeous. So I'd suggest, yeah, if you're burnt out, change your priorities. Go with friends instead of riding alone. If you ride alone all the time, and try riding new trails and riding at night. Night riding will freaking level you up. It's a game changer. Everything changes.
I will second that riding at night thing. Every time
Yeah.
I ride at night, I'm like, man, I thought I was better at mountain biking than this, because it just changes everything. Awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
because it changes your depth perception like crazy. And and it makes it fun, you know, it's exciting. You're like, oh, what's coming up? Like, is there a bear around the corner? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's really cool. So yeah, those are some ways that I think that I will overcome it when I'm ready to ride again.
Nice. And we talked a little bit about like the competitiveness in your personality. Have you found a way to bring that into the teaching work that you do?
I don't know. I kind of don't want it there.
Okay.
Like, I don't want that. I think it's a great break for me because, to be totally honest, like, and vulnerable, I mean, my racing, I was very, there's a lot of ego there because with professional racing, there's a lot of wanting to get sponsorships and needing sponsorships to perform at that high level. My cat named Heath. Um, and yeah, so just like a lot of the competitiveness is something I'm trying to train kind of out. Um, and rather, yeah, like be more chill and more approachable, because when I get in that competitive zone, it's like a whole different person. Like, I'm very focused and I'm very motivated, very driven.
Hmm.
And I don't think I really liked the person that I was when I was racing at that high level. And so mountain bike instruction really back to understanding the the beginner and the
Yeah.
novice. And that is a place that we all need to go as instructors, is remembering where we were when we were novices and beginners. And not everybody started off as like a true novice, right? Like, I started off going down crazy drops and stuff, like following my firefighter friends and like throwing myself off of stuff I had no business doing, but I survived. And yeah, but I don't really want to bring that competitiveness into my coaching. And I honestly don't really know how. I think it's humbled me in a big way. And I like that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, we've talked a couple times on in these talks about ego. Like we did a whole call about ego in mountain bike coaches because it's a huge thing that like as all of us as good riders, like it's something we got to be aware of, and because it doesn't always help our participants, right? Like
Mhm.
ego helps you when you're racing. Like you need that, right? To excel and to get sponsorships and everything like you were saying and to push yourself. Um, but then when our when we're working for and doing these things for different people. So thank you for being vulnerable, Cindy. And just so everyone knows, we did talk about like it's okay to be vulnerable on this thing before we all got
Yeah,
going. So we're all good. But thank you very much, Cindy. That's really awesome. And
yeah.
so with the work that you're doing now in Santa Fe, how long have you been in Santa Fe?
Um, Literally about to be a year, like next week. Yeah, and it's been a very short amount of time. And the thing that you'll hear Santa Feans say is Santa Fe will either welcome you or it'll spit you out. And I feel really welcomed and grateful because um I feel like it has absolutely like just taken me in, and I've been able to build connections and meet, you know, my girlfriend who's really the love of my life. And it's been one of those full and rewarding changes for me. I never lived anywhere other than Austin my whole life, literally, like other than college soccer at Kentucky. And I knew I needed to get to the mountains, and I knew Santa Fe was going to be it. From the first time I did a race here, yeah, it was like a World Series qualifier in Santa Fe at the Glorieta Trails in like 2016, and it was the hardest race to date that I've ever done. And I knew that I wanted to come back. I wanted to be here forever. I just needed it to be the right time, and everything needed to align, and I had to be very intentional about that. Yeah, and I could talk more about that too, if you wanted to, and what really brought, yeah, like what brought me here. But
Yeah, we can
yeah,
for sure touch on that. But I am super excited because I love that like you said that the community like drew you in. Like what big differences or what have you noticed about the riding community specifically in Santa Fe that you're like, yep, this is my place. Like what do you think?
well, it's really funny because I didn't really I didn't really know anybody in the mountain bike community here when I moved here, except for, well, it's a lie. I knew Carrie, and Carrie runs the snowboard, or she runs the ski patrol at Ski Santa Fe, and she's a mountain biker with her husband Jack. And so like I knew them because her first mountain bike race ever was Pajarito, and it was like kind of a local regional series enduro comp that happened like 5 years ago. And so I met her at that race, and then we became tight. And so at her, but then also I was sponsored by Magura Brakes, and the like international, yeah, Tony, he international like marketing director, Tony. I was put in touch with him because my good friend Jude lives in Austin, and he was my big connect to Magura. And so then Jude put me in touch with Tony. And literally, Tony was the first person I did a ride with in Santa Fe. We kind of rode every week after work in the summer. It was awesome. And he showed me the local community. I had a hard time kind of breaking into that community until really I got connected with the Girls on Bikes initiative and met Kim, who's on this call, and I'm probably going to have her talk about Girls on Bikes here in a minute. I'm going to put her on the spot. But yeah, she really kind of unlocked that, and she is like a big part of the community here and the Fat City, which I actually haven't really been involved with them, but they're our local like IMBA nonprofit organization, mountain bike org. And truthfully, I got really plugged into Albuquerque's mountain bike scene. I taught a few women's clinics for them. Like pretty much a month after I moved here, I went to Albuquerque and started getting plugged into that scene and found big community there. And I have a lot of really close friends in Albuquerque that one of them is an instructor trainer for BICP, and then Veronica, and then yeah, I started and organized a LGBTQ plus a mountain bike clinic down there. And so I kind of really got very much plugged in to that community and had a bit of a hard time breaking into Santa Fe until Kim and until Girls on Bikes. And she knows like they have their own group of amazing. It's like I don't know, she'll have to explain what Bob stands for, but it's like this kind of grassroots group of women, and they've been around together for like 9 years riding, and they do big trips together, not even just mountain bike trips, like surfing. And so that community, Kim has kind of plugged me in because I'm her significant other. Uh, I'll let her maybe explain more about it, but it's cool. It's really, really cool. And I think I'm like just really psyched to kind of be continued to be plugged into that Santa Fe community. Um,
Excellent.
yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, okay. Well, so yeah, you've mentioned Girls on Bikes a couple of times, and Kim, I've heard a ton about you. Don't want to put you two on the spot, but anything you want to throw out there, super welcome. But so Cindy, what type of work are you doing for Girls on Bikes? And can you give us just like a little bit of background on it, and then Kim, jump in as much as you want.
Yeah, Kim, I really want you to jump in and explain more, but I'll kind of just share how we met. So Kim started this initiative, I don't know, a few years ago, and I want her to definitely jump on and talk more about it. But she also has this kind of cohort, Teague, who found me via BICP and reached out to me to run a instructional certification program course for their coaches, for the Girls on Bikes coaches. And she had emailed me, and we got a meeting together to sit over coffee and talk about what Girls on Bikes is. And then I met Kim, and so then, we got together, bonded over our love for the outdoors and for outdoor adventure sports and adventure and mountain biking. And yeah, we're partners, and it's been amazing. And so through that, they're bringing me on to not only coach their coaches, because I want to be a big part of that, to like build up the professional mountain bike instructor cadre here in Santa Fe. Cadre is a firefighter term for like instructor group. And I really want to bring that up here. We need more of a following, we need more presence, and I want to kind of be that. And so I want to coach and instruct and get them certified. So we're going to be hopefully doing a course in June for them. BICP, and also to run like the city's kind of first ever program that is so cool that Teague and Kim have created for the school system. So instead of NICA, we're not doing NICA stuff. Like we're getting away from the racing and the competition, and we're really breaking it down to the basics of how to mountain bike. And that is going to happen at a school on a Saturday, and we got the school district involved. They have bikes at the school, so they have resources. Yeah, and I'm gonna let her talk more about that. But they wanted to bring me in to coach the girls that are going to be a part of like the Girls on Bikes initiative at the school on this particular Saturday in May. And so we have a date set, and yeah, it's super exciting, and it's the first time this is happening here in Santa Fe, and it's reaching a constituency of girls that yeah, hopefully typically wouldn't have had access to mountain biking otherwise. So Kim, I'm gonna tap you in. Can you please talk more about it and when you started this initiative? Because it's really, really cool, and I want you to share. So go ahead. I don't know if she's hearing me. Kim. All right. Well, I'll have to give her a call or yeah, yeah. So anyway,
No
um,
worries.
but yeah, so the goal really is to get more girls on bikes and focus like the sixth grade to like senior year of age of girls. And now having their coaches, hopefully going to be certified, it just, yeah, it levels it up. There she is. Yay.
Hi.
Hey.
Sorry, I tried to turn my camera on and then it took me away. Um,
Okay, I was about to text you. Go ahead and talk about it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kim Massey, and yeah, what do you want to know? I think you kind of covered everything. Just trying to get just basically started out as two friends, recognizing that there could really be a lot more opportunities for girls on bikes in this place where we have a lot of bike trails. And I'm a psychotherapist in private practice, but I've previously worked in the schools and previously worked out in the community and just seeing a lot of mental health issues. And then, looking around and just knowing that getting out on my bike and getting out in nature is such a resource for my own mental health, and wanting to see if maybe I can provide other opportunities for young people to have this resource as well. And also, it's been such a community builder for me. It's a place where I've met the most amazing humans. And so, just seeing opportunities that, yeah, might be able to pass that stoke along to the next generation of rad shredders.
Excellent. Good to meet you, Kim. I'm Travis.
Hi,
Super stoked that
Travis.
you were able to jump on. Cindy mentioned that you were gonna join the call. I was like, oh, she can talk as much as she wants. I'm down. Like that sounds awesome. So I do have a question. How long ago did your program get going? And what sort of age ranges are you typically working with?
Yeah, so 12 to 17 is about the age range that we are working with. So middle school on through high school. And calling it a program is, um, a little bit of an overstatement yet. It's really just a seed. But we've had 3 ride series. So we do 6-week ride series in the spring and the fall. So it started last spring. And then we had one in the fall, and then it started last fall. We had another one in the spring, and then another one in the fall. And we have one coming up starting March 31st for 6 weeks on Monday evenings.
And are those like group rides or like what do those look like?
Yeah, so it's really group rides, and they're all led by mountain bike volunteer adult riders, and they're mostly our group of friends that come out on Monday night and lead the rides. And yeah, we do some instruction. We do a wee bit of team building, and then some instruction, and then we go for a ride.
Excellent. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good combo of things for an awesome time on a bike, for sure. Um, well, that's awesome. So, okay, this part of these calls is like, all right, let's share the knowledge that we have for other people to like do this same sort of awesome work. So, like Kim or Cindy or anybody else who's done these types of programs, like what would you recommend for initially getting it going? Like what are a couple things that like hung you up, but you found ways around?
I think persistence is a huge one. And for example, we were meeting in the schools last winter for getting a clinic going. We have the half day clinic that's coming up this May, but we were hoping to do it last year. And we were meeting in the schools, and it looked like really promising and it was going to happen. And then the person who was our liaison in the schools just kind of fell off, and didn't really follow up. And we, followed up several times, and it just kind of disintegrated. And so we went back and just created more partnerships with more people, different people, and we're able to make it happen. So just keep at it. I think just repetition and persistence and networking. We do have a great community partner, the Santa Fe Fat Tire Society, who has really been a huge support for us, and they have helped us with marketing and getting the word out there, and a lot of support in a lot of other ways, swag and food. And so finding a community partner that is aligned with what you're trying to do is also another big one that I would recommend for sure.
That's awesome. I don't know much about the riding or the community in Santa Fe. Is the Santa Fe Fat Tire Society like a trail organization, or like they organize group rides? What is their kind of scope?
I guess I would say that they're kind of like they're a ride club. They do everything, and they promote everything to have to do with mountain biking in the community, which includes trail building, advocating for trails, advocating for biking in all the ways, and getting people together to ride bikes and promote safety, and all, basically anything that falls under the umbrella of um, increasing the capacity of the community to enjoy mountain biking.
Oh, Kim, I did a call in August, I think, about partnering with trail organizations. Wish you would have been there. I did get to highlight an awesome organization here in Minneapolis. But that sounds like a great group of people to be friends with for sure. And Cindy's mentioned the work that y'all are doing with, is it the Pueblo tribes and the Navajo tribes? Can you guys talk a little bit about that? We talked about accessibility a little bit ago, and I'm curious how that all plays into the work you do.
Yeah, that's kind of like an initiative that I'm personally wanting to take on because I went to Res Duro in the Navajo Nation in Hard Rock, Arizona, and I don't know if folks have heard about that, but we should definitely put a plug in for the In the Dirt documentary, which is a documentary about the Navajo reservation and them getting kids and adults and families on mountain bikes. And then from that Res Duro was formed by a young man, a young Navajo man. He was like 17, and he got his whole family on board to build mountain bike trails on his family's property on the Navajo reservation in Hard Rock, Arizona. And so when I went to that last year, I was like, wow, like I kind of talked with a couple females, like really rad females that were movers and shakers in that world with the Navajo. And one of them is is a BICP instructor. I think she's a level 1, and she's out of Durango. And then another one is a Navajo, a native, and she is really passionate about getting girls on bikes too. And so I told her, she's kind of been my contact for this. And I told her I really wanted to get these girls and their mothers who are also into mountain biking, because it had been like the guys that were really getting into it in the Navajo res. And that's what the In the Dirt documentary is really about, is about the men and how they got, these, their whole community into it. And I wanted to really showcase the women, and there were a lot of girls that were racing and really psyched on it. And so I knew there was like a need, like I could get them scholarships through BICP to take either like just the ride guide course, which is amazing, or put that money, that scholarship money, towards a level 1 course with me. And I want to get Indigenous women certified so that they have a skill that they can also use as a business. And then it's creating this, it's like filling a niche void for mountain biking, where we're missing this pretty big community of Indigenous folks. And so I have a really big passion for that, and that's something that I'm going to really focus on in the coming years of being here, especially with all the amazing Indigenous pueblos we have here, and the Navajo res, just next door in Arizona, and also here in New Mexico. So that's a really big initiative for me. And I think I'm gonna kind of like really focus on that through BICP instructor training and through running courses specifically tailored to getting these folks in, and working with Nicole on that too. So yeah, we tried to run one in October. I just did not have enough people signed up for it. But that ironically is the same course that is how Kim and Teague of Girls on Bikes found me. So I'm grateful for it, even if it didn't make. But I'm gonna be doing a lot of those this summer, because I'll have 4 days off from my firefighting schedule. So it'd be great. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Cool.
sure.
Sweet.
And when you make the documentary, or when you get the group of women Indigenous riders together and make the documentary In the Dirt 2, or in the, I
Yeah.
don't know, there's better names for it for sure, but let
Yeah.
me know. I'd love to
Okay.
see it. And I did drop the link to In the Dirt into the chat if anybody
Cool.
wants to. I think it's just inthedirt.com. If anybody wants to check out that video. Awesome. So what would,
Oh,
I mean,
can I share like how I got involved with them? So I actually
yeah.
got plugged into them like before, so like a month into moving here. I got plugged in, like I said, to the Albuquerque mountain bike community. And then through running and working with those women who are running those women's mountain bike clinics, totally grassroots through their local mountain bike club nonprofit. They invited me on a ride after one of those clinics, and we rode with the In the Dirt crew. Like the guy that filmed it, we rode with all the guys that were in the documentary up in the Sandia Mountains in Albuquerque, and it was awesome. And they were so impressed with my riding, and they really wanted me to come and like coach them and start and do a BICP courses out there. And so that's kind of something that we didn't have time last year to get it all going, but this year I really want to focus on, and I do have kind of that to that community too. And the men, like, having that respect was huge. And so yeah, it's cool. They welcomed me, and then that night we had the premiere for the movie, and it was really sweet. So that's kind of how I got plugged in with them too.
That's awesome. I mean, if you get a course together, just get 12 people in it. I'd love to go down and ride
Heck
in New
yeah.
Mexico for sure. Nicole sees that, she hears it. I
Yeah,
think we just need participants and we'll be able to
yeah,
make it happen.
we got it. We'll get it for sure. Heck yeah.
Awesome. Well, so Cindy, Kim, like the work that you're doing at the community level, um, what are what are some like big what are some recommendations that you would have for people? I hear the persistence. Are there any other things that are like, oh, this is something like permitting was a pain, or like that sort of thing that you'd recommend people spend some time on if they're trying to like, partner with trail organizations or get the same sort of program going in other areas?
I mean, I'll chime in real quick and then I'll let Kim answer, but I think taking the instructional aspect of it seriously is huge. And that's how Kim and I met, was because they saw the value. Kim saw the value of professional instruction, and the schools see the value in that. It's helpful to say, hey, I'm coming at you guys with this concept, and we also have a professionally certified mountain bike instructor who's going to run it. That standardization is huge, and I think it really validates what you're trying to do. And I think that's like the really big push for BICP, and for professional certification in this industry. So that's just kind of like my plug for that, and just really backing that and seeing the value in it. And I'm sure, Kim will agree, but that's kind of what comes to mind right now. Kim, what else do you think?
I'd agree with that. Certainly having, having the credentialing is absolutely helpful and necessary. And so seeking that out if you don't already have it. And then, I think for us, we're still wrestling with getting the word out there. There's so much happening in our communities, and kids are being pulled a lot towards their the team sports and everything, and those happen, and they're very, they're just, lives are really full. They have a lot of homework and all of that. So competing with all the other possible activities and noise of social media and everything can be a big challenge. And so what I think we have found to be the best antidote to that is just getting platforms where we can talk to people face to face about it. You can make flyers and handbills and hang signs and post on social media all you want, but it really does get, I think, mixed in with a lot of the other noise, and you won't get you might get the low hanging fruit, the kids that already wanted to kind of do it, or their family already is involved in it, or that kind of thing. But to really access, um, folks that maybe wouldn't otherwise think of it, I think you need to find spaces where you can go and talk in person and share and create a presence for yourself in the community. And so that's kind of what we're doing and we're working on. And it's not easy, but it's definitely worthwhile. Yeah.
I love what you just said, Kim, about like being in the community and face to face, especially for a lot of private coaching businesses, like, word of mouth is like one of the best marketing things early on, and so I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think, to hear that makes a difference in your organization is huge. And I think that's going to be an easier strategy for people to jump onto. And especially as someone who just like struggles so hard with social media, word of mouth is like definitely my preferred. So thank you for backing me up on that, Kim. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, those are the biggest questions that Cindy and I had talked about beforehand. And I mean, it was super fun, Cindy, to hear, the story of your riding, how like motivations in your riding has changed, and the life that you're creating for yourself in Santa Fe, and especially doing like super good work, getting more girls riding bikes. I love it. Is there anything else, Cindy, or any questions, anything anybody wants to add? Go for it, Nicole.
So I just wanted to say is like, how Cindy's mentioned the BICP scholarship program, right? Is like, that is all self-funded through all of our members, right? Their $65 dues, a portion of that goes back into our scholarship program, and that helps fund these scholarships. So it's like getting the opportunity for our participants to apply for scholarships, whether it's a partial or full scholarship, is so important. But like the biggest thanks goes back to our members that believe in community, right? Our members understand that, hey, I pay $65 back into this organization, but this organization then pays it forward to the next riders, and it's almost like in that Starbucks drive-through, right? Like we're buying the next cup of coffee, right? So
Mhm.
I'm most proud of that for our organization already. Like in the January when we posted the new scholarship application up there, when I checked the this morning, we already had 10 new people apply for the scholarships just this week, like just this month of January, right? And so like that's really exciting to know that we get to just, those are 10 new lives that we're going to be able to impact as an organization. And then we look at the work that Kim and Cindy are doing, like the more people that we as an organization can just offer these scholarships for, and know that we're just we're starting a new fire, we're starting a new level of interest in coaching and mountain biking is huge, right? So I love that we, the people on this call, you know, we get to contribute to that for people.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
my
I'm
story.
super great. Yeah, I'm super grateful for that because, you know, I never really thought about like being an advocate for those underserved communities via my instructor, and having that the scholarship available to push to people to say, hey, like it is expensive. Here's the reason why it's expensive, but there are ways that we can work around that. And giving those communities and populations the opportunity to be a part of this is huge. And so I'm so grateful that our organization with BICP is offering scholarships. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So yay. Thanks, Nicole.
For sure.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
We did, Nicole and I connected
Yeah,
last.
totally. And I think that was like the last thing. What? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, there's a little bit more information about the scholarships in the Talks with Travis archive, as well as I'm not sure, I believe it got posted on our social media channels as well. But Nicole and I connected for like a short talk last month, December, to give a little bit more detail. So if you do want to learn more about those scholarships, go to the archive at icp.bike, Talks with Travis, icp.bike, or check out our social media platforms. That was it, Cindy. You're good to go.
Oh, okay, cool. I was just gonna say too, like the other thing we had talked about was just like encouraging coaches and instructors to be really vulnerable with their constituents and their participants, because that's something recently that I had the opportunity to experience and share with a client. I had a one-on-one private client for a couple months. She was just visiting because she was like a traveling nurse kind of situation in Santa Fe. And I met her when I was working part-time at our local bike shop. And it was really kind of this beautiful universal gift. And it was my last day there, a month into me working there. I helped her get her bike completely redone and got like this amazing tune-up, and we upgraded it, and she loved that bike. And I told her, you didn't need to buy a new one. It's okay. Like we can just revamp this. And then the day she came last day working there, and then she realized I was a professional coach and instructor, and she wanted to take lessons from me. And so we started doing some coaching sessions together at Glorietta, which is the place that brought me to Santa Fe. So it all kind of came full circle via racing. And then it ended kind of there with me like coaching, which was really, really special. And I touched her because she was going through a lot in her personal life. And I just was very open about my personal life and about, you know, my spirituality. And I think bringing that kind of level of openness to people in the coaching world is huge. And she told me how important that was to her and how life-changing it was, that it was more than just the skills, which were amazing. And she said that changed her life too, because it gave her more confidence in her riding. And she had been taught in ways that she'd never been taught before, even though she had taken all these other clinics and stuff. But yeah, just like opening up and sharing perspectives on life and on, you know, coping mechanism for trauma, for, whatever. Like, it's like bringing Kim's psychotherapy professional world to mountain biking. Not saying I'm a psychotherapist at all. That is not at all what I am, but I can be personable and I can kind of step out of that like coaching role and into a more interpersonal coaching role. And I think we can use that as a platform, and that also kind of breaks down that wall and barrier of the ego, which we see a lot in coaching, like Travis had mentioned.
Thank you for bringing
There's a
that
lot
up.
of ego, and it doesn't have to be. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say to like add on to everything that Cindy just said, because like if we can be vulnerable with our participants and build more rapport through that way, our participants are gonna respond. My partner, she did a clinic here in Minneapolis with a awesome group, Midwest Dirt Legion. They focus on femme trans mountain bikers, and she went out and she like had a who I'm gonna brag a little bit. I certified her as a coach a couple years ago, but she had this coach as a as her instructor, and she was able to relate and be vulnerable enough to like make my partner feel really really good. And honestly, Siri, my partner, told me the story afterwards, and I was crying at the end. Like it makes a huge difference in our participants. So thank you for bringing that back up, Cindy, for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, and
absolutely.
emotional coaching in the archive. Great one to listen to.
Sweet. Very
Awesome, everybody. Well, thank you
good.
so much for
Awesome.
joining.
Yeah, that's all that
Huge thank you to you, Cindy. It was really, really good to connect and get to know you better as well through this whole thing, which has been awesome. I'll make sure to pass on your hey to your friends here in Minneapolis for sure. But yeah, Nicole, Matt, Kim, thank you guys so much for coming. I'm sure we'll all be talking before too long.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Nicole. Thank you,
Bye.
Travis.
Have
Bye,
a great
Matt.
night.
See you, Nicole. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.